Hello, everyone. Hi, mate. I saw you in chat. How are you doing? How is everyone? I'm Sacrabalic, your envoy of hope. Welcome to Dialogue Tree, episode 16. I'm not going to lie to you. It's late at night. I had a long day. You had a long day. I was actually going to go to sleep, but then I got this notification. Well, I'm glad I'm more important than sleep, because of course I am. I'm just gonna get through this. How about that? How about we just get through this one? How about we make this a nice short one, which is gonna be hard because I have a lot of topics, but we're gonna do that. All right, we got some booze for tonight that I have to go wash off. What do we got? We've got Monster Nasty Beast Hard Tea. The usual suspects were enjoying a few cold ones and decided to check out some hard iced tea from the competition. Eventually somebody commented, "This stuff is just plain nasty." Channeling Jack from Boogie Nights, I don't know who this is marketed to, but I'm too young to have seen Boogie Nights. So I cannot imagine. Someone else said, "Good name." Just like that, the idea was born. Truth is, we've been making great tasting iced tea for over 25 years and have some great recipes stashed away. So we brewed some up, blended in our super clean alcohol, dialed in the flavor, and came up with a cool can design for our new baby. You be the judge. Crack open a can of our new Nasty Beast hardcore tea, and you'll see it's by far the best tasting hard tea out there at 6% alcohol. It's smooth as silk, but still gets the job done. We're no Dirk Diggler. The fuck is... Who writes this? But still pretty proud of what we got. Okay, alright. I've seen Boogie Nights, and it isn't very good. 9 hours in, and I'm already further than I ever got in Yellow's Skin. How far are you in the game? I have played Gen 1 a lot. I guess that's technically Gen 3, but I tend to think of Pokemon as whatever region was that game, that's the gen. I don't care what gen the actual game came out in. Alright? Alpha Sapphire is as much Gen 3 as regular Sapphire was to me. Honestly, not bad. Not bad. The monster alcohols are, like, honestly pretty good. I've got to go wash that small amount of tea that got in my hand off, or I'm going to go fucking crazy. I'll be right back! Yeah, okay, so this is like, it's very smooth. It's not very sweet. It's not very sweet. There's a little bit of alcohol, but all of the monster alcohols do a really good job of, hiding the malt behind it. It doesn't taste bad. It doesn't taste like a lot. It tastes like you're drinking a tea. Is sort of what it's like. So, not terrible. Honestly, probably one of the better booze teas. I actually bought 2 of these. I bought a regular Beast, Monster Beast, but I figured, you know what? It's 24 ounces. That's going to be the whole stream, honestly. I almost didn't drink at all. I was going to be like, what if for the first time ever, I don't drink during the stream? And then I saw that on sale, and I was like, fuck it, it's on sale. It's like half off. I'll just get it. Beat Brock, went through a cave, ran around till I finally got my fucking Clefairy. Now I'm in a town you go to after Mount Moon. I don't remember what it's called. The one with Misty, right? Or is it another town? I'm not sure. Yeah. Okay, so you, like, hunted down a Clefairy? Like, specifically? Why? You just like Clefairy? Clefairy evolves in that game, doesn't it? Stopped right when you got there. Gotcha. How you liking it so far? Anyway, yeah, content update. Haven't been streaming. Honestly, a little bit intentional on this one. I'm really thinking about moving later in the year, so I'm going to be between jobs when I do that. I don't want to put it out into the ether because I think that's sort of a jinx, but I think part of it is when that happens, I kind of want to just, like, really dig in and just get through favorite search. So I heard to give Mega Punch to a Clefairy. Maybe it is. I don't know. I don't usually use Clefairies, so I don't know. Possibly. What's your starter? That's a good question. What'd you pick as your starter? Let's see. Content update, nothing on me. Grandma Sack is playing Final Fantasy X-2 now. That's about it. And yeah, I got nothing else going on. Just a whole lot of work and bullshit. Mate, while I got here, let me ask you a question, because I bet you know this. I was going to pick up Bulbasaur. Okay, alright. That's John's favorite Pokemon. I personally usually go with a Charmander. That fucking took me a second, and it should not have. So I was gonna pick up. I was actually looking at it last night. I was gonna pick up the deluxe edition of Tomie, and I was gonna pick up Uzumaki. I was gonna pick up the deluxe editions of those, and then Then it was like, hey, if you're liking that, you should also check out the deluxe edition of Gyo, which is, the, like, dumb fish thing. And I was like, I've never had any interest in Gyo because it's some dumb fish thing. But am I sleeping on Gyo? Is Gyo better than it looks despite being a dumb fish thing? Because it kind of looks like a dumb fish thing. And also, while I was looking at the listings, I also saw something called Ramina, which is apparently about, like, an evil planet or some shit, which also kind of looked cool. So, I assume you've read all 4 of those things. Picked that off the recommendation of Super Gaming Bros playthrough of Red. Okay. Alright. Yeah, I don't know what the best one is in that game. Gyo is significantly shorter than Uzumaki and Tomie. It's not a bad story, but Hellstar Romania is infinitely better than Gyo. Should I check them out? Should I get them? I'm definitely locking in Tomie and Uzumaki, but I was a little... And Romania looks good, is the thing. Like, Romania actually looks good. Gyo, I'm not sold on. It's like it's his second most, like, popular manga, I would probably say, after Uzumaki, of course. But it's also the one where it's like, we pick Romina over Gyo. Okay. Alright. But you recommend Romina, then, in that case? Tomie and Uzumaki, I'm locking in. You gotta read Uzumaki. Everyone always talks up Uzumaki. And Tomie, I don't know, the anime was good, so I'm gonna check that out, but... Anyway, that's it. That's the update. I didn't have anything going on. Personally, really recommend the short story collections instead of both Gyo and Romania. Okay. Alright. Well, the only reason I even looked at Romania is because it just looks good. That's my thing. I was just like, I like that concept. I like that concept more than Evil Fish. Alright, well, that's enough of the recap. Like I said, we are getting on that shit. So, let's kick us into the first topic of the night. It's fucking Pokemon Legends ZA. That's right, I finished a Pokemon game. It's ZA. Oh god, where am I? Alright, Pokemon Legends ZA. We are returning to France. This time, you are a tourist going to Paris. The entire game takes place in Paris, or the Pokemon equivalent of Paris, which is, of course, Lumio City. Wild Pokemon are... Now, okay, so the trailer for this game makes the plot of the game sound dumber than it is. Because the trailer for the game makes the plot of the game sound like... that they are, like, reconstructing the city, and they're, like, putting in areas where they let wild Pokemon just roam free inside of the city. Like, there's like these commingling zones where they called wild zones, where they, like, allow Pokemon to just have at it. And in the game you get to, that isn't true at all. The wild zones are actually a product of a massive invasion of wild Pokemon, and they're not at all intentional because the actual trailer plot is fucking dumb. So, yeah, apparently the problem is a bunch of Pokemon are flooding into the city. Why? The game explains it. I actually think this came out close enough that I'm not gonna super spoil the whole plot about that, but it's interestingly enough. This is the first Pokemon game, fun fact, without gender-locked apparel items. And, like, so the game doesn't gender lock clothing or, like, hair or eyes or anything. But what it does do is it gender locks your rival in this game. So if you play as a boy, you get the girl rival. If you play as a girl, you get the boy rival. And so apparently what people have done to get around this is that they'll take the, like, opposite character model, and then they'll basically play trans characters in this game, is what people are doing. And you know what? Good on you, Pokemon. Fair point. But apparently it's a pretty popular way to play it. If we're still on Pokemon, I was disappointed learning the one in Pokemon Remember from the anime as a new kid is locked to New Game Plus because they're Gen 2 and Soul Silver is very expensive. Which one? See, that is why in Pokemon what you do is you end up growing attached to whatever Pokemon is in that specific region, and then as you go through the games, you end up enjoying the Pokemon from those regions instead. Like, you get regional favorites, is what ends up happening. It's a little bear club. I don't actually remember. Teddy Ursa, I think, right? Or is that... I'm pretty sure... I want to say Teddy Ursa. Is that right? Teddy Ursa! I was completely correct. Yeah, Teddy Ursa's Gen 2 as fuck. Teddy Ursa's great. When I was a little petite child, I had a kid. I had a little pillow that was a little bear pillow, and I named it Teddy Ursa. So there you go. It evolves into Ursaring at level 30, which evolves into Ursaluna when exposed to a peat block during a full moon. I didn't know that was a thing. Because it was introduced in Legends Arceus. Okay, that's why. I was like, I didn't know Ursaring evolved. And that is why. Anyway, I'm hoping I don't like Leaf Green to drop over 100 on Soul Silver. My wallet can't take this. Yeah, that's the problem with Pokemon. Are you just gonna play in order? Is that because I'm telling you, the 3DS games are probably the best ones, or the DS ones, I guess. I don't know. A lot of people like the DS games because they're like more hardcore. Like Black and White were the first ones that were marketed towards college students rather than like young children, and so that's a lot of people's like favorites. But I'll always argue that the 3DS games were the best ones with like XY, Sun Moon, stuff like that. Never played the Ultra games though, because I hear that they made Lucamine not a villain. And, what the fuck? Get out of here. She's so much better as a villain. Anyway, not important. Actually, it is relevant a little bit, because Gen 6 did also take place in France. Okay, so if I do continue, and I might, but definitely not one after the other. Oh, no, you can't do two Pokemon back-to-back. No, you are correct. You are correct on that. Definitely not. Ooh, never, ever back-to-back. It's a lot. But anyway, yeah, so this game's actually pretty cool. Basically, there's a tournament called the Battle Royale that is going around in the city, and everyone is competing to get ranked A. You start as rank Z, you're trying to get rank A, and the part of the goal is to find the best Mega Evolution user in the city, because of some reason that is honestly not terribly well explained until the very end, but it does involve Mega evolving a really powerful Pokemon, which is pretty cool. We get to see the return of our boy Az, which is pretty great. Pokemon's greatest war criminal. He's got his Floette back, which is pretty nice. As this game takes place 5 years after the events of Pokemon X. This game has an absolutely fucking fantastic sidecast, honestly. I will say that. So another thing is that, like, there's no gym leaders in this, obviously, because it all takes place in Lumios. Weirdly, no mention of Lumios' actual gym leader. But yeah, so basically you have to go through promotion matches, which involve usually doing a series of side quests in order to do the promotion match. And then you do the promotion match against what is basically like a faction leader inside of the city, and who functions as a gym leader. But what's interesting is that the factions in ZA have dual typings. So normally it's usually like, this is the fighting gym, this is the water gym, this is the fire gym. Whereas in ZA, it's like, okay, this is the electric ground gym, this is the poison steel gym, this is the fairy dragon gym, stuff like that. So that's pretty cool. The cast is absolutely just great. This is probably one of the strongest casts in Pokemon, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that the game does not abandon the cast. So usually in Pokemon, when you do a gym, you never see that motherfucker again unless you decide to, like, go back and fight the real team. But in this game, you end up having the characters pop back in, sometimes for side quests, because this game has side quests, and you get to, like, work with them, and you get to know them and their little eccentricities, and you get to see how they also dynamically respond to the other major factions inside of the city. So it all creates this, like, dynamic, working, breathing environment. Definitely one of the stronger casts in Pokemon. It's honestly, I would say that ZA gets the kind of cast strength that Scarlet Violet got, but, like, the kind of cast strength that Scarlet Violet didn't get really until the end of the game. But that's just, like, the whole level. So very strong as far as the Pokecast goes. Definitely a bit weaker on the plot side, I will say that. This is also the first Pokemon game in, like, a long time that I don't actually think has a particularly strong soundtrack. Obviously, everyone, you know, there's that whole thing about people, like, bopping to Jacynth's theme. Jacynth has a good theme, but it's also, like, really the only standout one. I do think the wandering around music is pretty good in this game, but you really get tired of it after, like, hour 3, because it's the only music that you fucking hear. If I do play Soul Silver, if I can get it, I'll not play Crystal via Walmart. I'll play Omega Ruby. My local GameStop always has Diamond and Pearl Ruby. No, you gotta do Alpha Sapphire over Omega Ruby. I'm gonna have to insist on that because the plot of Omega Ruby doesn't make sense. Always has Diamond and Pearl remakes. Diamond and Pearl is terrible. The remakes are bad. If you're gonna play Gen 4, it's gotta be Platinum. The Diamond and Pearl remakes are the only Pokemon games that have ever crashed on me. They are terrible. They're, like, actually bad. They're, like, the one time I would be like, no, actually don't play that. Not playing that generation is better than playing the remakes. You talked about Black and White. I can't remember which. I would, okay. My friend gave me Y after I told her I was starting Leaf Green. I'll be real, games after Sun and Moon do not interest me in the slightest, and even then I'd only play Sun or Moon for my goats in Team Skull. Again, if I can fucking help it, I'll stop after Leaf Green. I don't have to throw down big bets because Leaf Green was only $20. Cool, can add that to the over $100. Okay, let's see. Soul Silver. I haven't played Heart Gold or Soul Silver. I would definitely pick Heart Gold over Soul Silver. You might have a reason for picking Soul Silver. I don't think there's a wrong answer. The reason I always pick Heart Gold over Soul Silver is Ho-Oh over Lugia, because Ho-Oh is, like, the god of, like, resurrection and life and shit, and it's, like, canonically brought back, like, other Pokemon. Some Pokemon exist specifically because Ho-Oh is such a fucking, like, beast Giga-Chad god Pokemon that it, like, brought them, resurrected them as its, like, soldiers and shit like that, and Lugia is just some fucking bird. It's a bird that brings storms, but, like, who gives a shit about Lugia? Like, Lugia is kind of cool, but fuck Lugia. Heart Gold doesn't have the little bear Soul Silver does. You know what? That's all you need then. Play Soul Silver then. Fuck me. Hey, I'm gonna be honest, that logic is as good as my logic of why you should play Heart Gold. I don't actually have a narrative reason. I'm just like, I like Heart Gold because Ho-Oh is better. Okay, Omega Ruby versus Alpha Sapphire. First off, here's why Alpha Sapphire is better. Alpha Sapphire is better because Kyogre is better than Groudon. No, the actual reason is because which version you play changes what team is the bad guy. So there's Team Aqua and Team Magma. And the reason I will always hold that Sapphire and Alpha Sapphire are the only ones that make sense is because Team Magma's plan is fucking stupid. So, okay. So Team Aqua, the Sapphire, Alpha Sapphire villain team, their plan is they're going to use the power of Kyogre, the Pokemon that is like literally the personification of the ocean, to flood the world, get rid of all the land, and they're going to kill everyone. That's the goal. They're going to kill everyone because their thought process is life requires water to live. There's a lot of Pokemon in the ocean. So if they get rid of all of the land, then ocean Pokemon will end up thriving and flourishing. Are all humans going to die and all the land Pokemon? Yes, but that is a sacrifice they're willing to make. Is that fucking crazy? Yes. But is it a plan that makes sense on paper? Yes. Now, here's Team Magma's plan. This is the Ruby and Omega Ruby plan. Team Magma is going to use the power of Groudon, the Pokemon that's the personification of the ground, and like rock and shit, and they're gonna dry up all of the oceans. They're going to dry up all the oceans, and they're going to get rid of all of the water in the planet, because people and Pokemon need the ground to move around on and live on and develop. So the idea is if they get rid of all of the planet's water, there'll be more room for Pokemon to grow and expand. Now, here's why I'll always hold that Sapphire is the only one that makes sense. You might have realized something, which is, it's true that people need ground to live, but you know what they also need is fucking water. So if they dry up all of the water, then everyone dies anyway. Team Magma's plan is objectively stupid. It makes no fucking sense. And that is why Sapphire is the better game. I only said Omega Ruby because that's the one my brother said, hey, you're in that one, referring to Hexmaniac. Hexmaniac's definitely in both of them, for sure. Hexmaniac, I believe, was a Kalos character, wasn't it? Hexmaniac is an XY character, I believe. The reason Hexmaniac would be in that game is because... that's the same, that's also Gen 6 along with XY, which is the same region as ZA. So it all wraps back around. Okay, Diamond and Pearl remakes. Here's the thing about the Diamond and Pearl remakes. They're awful. So it's like it's almost like a port. Like, it uses the exact same game code from the original DS games. Like, it is literally the same game that they just put on the Switch, and it runs exactly like that. It has all of the same glitches. They didn't add any of the additional content from Platinum, so the game feels very unfinished. It feels very bare bone. I've never had a Pokemon game crash on me. I had that game crash on me 3 times. I had that game actually freeze during the final battle against Cynthia, which is a fucking problem, let me tell you. Because another thing about it is that... So everyone knows I'm okay with easy games. The remakes of Diamond and Pearl are so fucking easy, even I'm bored with them. Even I'm like, okay, this is a problem. Another thing is it adds directional movement, which you wouldn't think is an issue, except for those games were designed for the DS. And so you can actually, there's like a gym where you can skip half the puzzles by going at a diagonal, because it'll just solve the puzzle for you. But also in the same gym, you can get yourself stuck there, because the gym wasn't designed for diagonal angles. They might have patched it, but the game was an absolute fucking nightmare to launch. Just buggy as shit, does not work, is not fun to play. Fun fact about that game also is they made, so like Diamond and Pearl I don't think are like famous for being like super hard games anyway, but they made the game easier all around from the original versions. But here's another fun fact about it, which is that Diamond and Pearl was famous for having Cynthia as the final boss in that game. And Cynthia is famous for being the hardest final boss in Pokemon history. That's her reputation. So the weirdest thing about Diamond and Pearl the remakes, is that if they made the entire game easier, you think they'd make Cynthia and the Elite Four easier. They didn't. They made her harder. They made the Elite... I have never seen a difficulty curve that extreme. Like, the entire game is piss baby easy. Like, actual baby shit. And then all of a sudden, it is a straight 90-degree incline into some of the hardest JRPG battles I've ever had to deal with. Absolute wild shit goes on during the fucking final battles of this game. It is so drastic. So the Devil Summoner port on PSP, where Atlas put a Sega Saturn emulator on a UMD, and the game itself is literally just a ROM hack. It's the original Saturn game, but they tweak minor things and added a compendium, though that never crashed. Okay, imagine that, but it runs poorer. And yeah, imagine that, but it's run poorer. Technically, Game Freak didn't make it. They got the Idol Master. It's like the only Pokemon game I know of, excuse me, with like a pseudo mainline title that was like not done by Game Freak themselves, and they got like the Idol Master group to do it, and they fucking botched it so hard. Oh god, it's an absolute nightmare. Anyway, yes, Cynthia, crazy enough, even harder. Legitimately, I'm not joking with you, one of the hardest JRPG battles I've ever experienced. I wasn't joking in Discord when I said that the final fights of the Diamond and Pearl remake are harder than Strange Journey. Did they also stretch it to widescreen like Devil Summoner? No, they changed the art style to this like weird chibi art style that a lot of people complain about. I don't think it's that bad, but a lot of people hate it. So it's sort of similar to like what they did with some of those 3D early Final Fantasy games, where they replaced the old pixels stuff with the like 3D chibi sprites, and people are like, we hate 3D chibi sprites. It's like they did that. They basically did that. Yeah, game runs like a fucking mess. Damn, she's worse than me. Who, Cynthia? Cynthia's fucking famous. People have PTSD from fucking Cynthia. There's a moment in Legends Arceus where the fucking Cynthia's piano theme starts playing, and I've seen people freak the fuck out over that fucking piano. Cynthia's a nightmare. She's a fucking challenge in those games, and nothing else is. It's crazy. It's wild. The game's easy except for Cynthia. You hear that piano, you know you're in for a fucking time. Anyway, let's see. Your friend gave you Y. Y's fine. I prefer X, but I don't really think there's that much of a difference. The big difference is that the legendary Pokemon versus Y versus X is that X, it's like a fairy Pokemon that's like it's sort of like a god that grants eternal life, versus Pokemon Y, where it's like the death Pokemon that kills you. And I think X makes a little bit more sense, but I don't. That's why she gave you Y. Oh, because she liked X better. Yeah, whereas like Y, she had both, and she said she likes X better. That's a real friend right there. But yeah, so I personally enjoy X better, but honestly, I don't think the differences are that great. So like, it's either do you want the life Pokemon or the death Pokemon, I guess. I hear the ending might be a little different based on the context. I will say that if you want to get to ZA, the Pokemon that grants like in the context of it, a Pokemon that grants eternal life, granting immortality to like Az and Floette and spoilers for ZA, Lysander. I think it makes more sense for it to be Xerneas, the life Pokemon, rather than Yveltal, the death Pokemon. But also you have to remember that the weapon during the war also killed an entire country. Sorry, killed 2 countries full of people. 2 countries of people were killed by this fucking thing. So I'm not going to say that the death Pokemon doesn't make sense, because it's also a fucking doomsday weapon. That's the one where you have to... yeah, they implemented the touchscreen petting for a lot of them, actually. But yeah, mostly the 3DS ones. You can also do that in Alpha Sapphire and Omega Ruby, XY, and I believe Sun, Moon, Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon. Definitely not. You don't have to. That's optional. I do that because it increases their affection, and they perform better when their affection meters are up there. Although I have heard that speedrunners do pet the shit out of their Pokemon because the added crit rate and survival chance actually makes it worthwhile. So it is part of the meta to pet the fuck out of your Pokemon, even in speed runs. It is a fun fact on that one. But it's optional. You don't got to worry about that. Sun and Moon. For my okay, no, Sun and Moon are great. Sun and Moon are the best stories ever told in Pokemon. Just one, you've got Team Skull, the best Pokemon team in all of Pokemon. The Pokemon team where Game Freak realized that the evil team doesn't need to actually be evil; they just need to be antagonists, which started an absolute great trend. Team Yell, not the best, but we all know that I am not a fucking Sword and Shield fan anyway, because no one is a Sword and Shield fan. But then I think they really brought it back in Scarlet and Violet with Team Star. And then in ZA, no one is evil. No one is evil. They're just, well, I guess the rest Syndicate are literal loan sharks that will break your legs. But they're not evil loan sharks that'll break your legs. They steal a stop sign, yes. They steal a stop sign, they take over a town. At one point, they try and kidnap Slowpoke so that they can detach their tails, because Slowpoke tail is considered a delicacy. They're just public nuisances. They're great. I love them. They're absolutely great. Gonna be like me liquoring the shit out of my demons to Devil Summoners so they like me actually and listen to me what I tell them to do. Yeah, they're great. Team Skull's amazing. Lusamine is the best villain in all of Pokemon. I feel like you can watch the opening cutscene in that game and tell that Lusamine is a bad guy. I don't think that's a spoiler. But yeah, the story between her and her daughter Lily is like fantastic. It's like both heartbreaking and interesting, because it's certainly not a topic you'd expect to be delved into in a kid's game like Pokemon. Like, when you think, what's the kind of villain that Pokemon gets into, you probably don't think constant doomsday cults, which is another trope, but I certainly don't think that your, number one thought process is, yes, the final boss was my friend's abusive mother? I've seen the anime where they meet Team Rocket, and it's pretty great. I have not. I love Team Skull ever since you told me about them when you streamed X. Team Skull's fantastic. I think on the docket, I have Sun and Moon, just like the original Sun and Moon. Am I incorrect about that? I'm pretty sure Sun and Moon are on there. Yeah, Sun and Moon is on there after Saints Row 4. I'm looking forward to that. That's gonna be a good time. That's gonna be a good time. Team Skull's fucking amazing. The story's great. The big issue I had with Sun when I played Sun. Oh, also, there's barely a difference between Sun and Moon. The major difference between Sun and Moon is what time your clock is set to. So if you're playing Moon, your clock is inverted. Will not lie, I typically associate Doomsday Cults with SMT. So, Pokemon loves its Doomsday Cults. Pokemon loves its Doomsday Cults. But yeah, so Moon inverts the clock. So if you're playing during the day in Moon, it'll be nighttime in the game. And if you're playing at nighttime, it'll be day during the game. Whereas in Pokemon Sun, the clock is whatever your clock is set to. As far as I know, that's the main difference between the two, other than the main Pokemon. I hear Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon made they changed the story to sort of dial down Lusamine, which I think they mostly did because she's hot and they want that she's a lot. I think it's a lot easier to market a tragic character that's going insane because of Cthulhu than it is to market your friend's abusive hot mom. I genuinely think they tried to chill out Lusamine being absolutely fucking awful, specifically because she's more marketable if she's not a complete fucking monster. That's something to worry about the day-night being tied to my actual clock. It can be an issue in some games if you're hunting for certain Pokemon, but it's not that big of a problem. It's mostly a Sun and Moon issue, I would say that. Well, actually, no, that the internal clock thing I think starts coming up. Starting with is it in the DS games? It might be in the DS games also. I mostly play in the afternoon and the evening. Yeah, so Sun is a really good game for that one, I would say, if you want it to match your clock, just because it's in Hawaii, and you think Hawaii, you think Sun. So that's always been my go-to reason for Sun. I know a lot of people like Moon, and I'm not going to say not to go. That's the one of the ones where I think it doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? It is like Sun and Moon. I think it just doesn't straight up matter. But let's see. Okay, Pokemon villains. Let's go through it. Red, blue, whatever. Team Rocket. They're the Mafia. Gold, silver. Gen 2. Team Rocket. They're the Mafia. Okay. Gen 3, Aqua, Magma. Team Aqua's Team Magma are the main villains. They're a Doomsday cult. We explored their motivation. Gen 4 is Team Galactic. Their goal is to capture either the god of space or the god of time or Satan. And they're going to use adamantine chains to bind God or Satan, to bind the time/space god/Satan, and they're going to use the powers of the god or Satan to destroy the universe and then remake it in their image, which is an SMTS plot. If you've ever heard one. Then Gen 5, where we get to New York, that is a Final Fantasy plotline, because your main villain is Team Plasma, which is PETA, and they're a group of... They are Pokemon apologists that think that Pokemon are being abused by their trainers, and so they want to release Pokemon from their trainers, but also they're infiltrated by, like, thugs and gangsters and shit like that, who are just, like, ne'er-do-wells who don't actually believe in the cause, so they sort of, like, throw themselves off. But also there's another secret plot that the whole PETA thing is actually bullshit, and they're just trying to take over the country. Atlas be hitting cease and desist if they thought they could be Nintendo. Then that brings us to Gen 6, which is Pokemon X and Y, and their goal is they want to kill everyone in the world and survive inside of their doomsday bunker because they're more fashionable than you. Now, good old Pokemon Legends ZA decides that maybe they needed a better motivation. And so this gets retconned a little bit in ZA, where the new motivation is that they were trying to create a, like, more peaceful, stable society, using, like, the best of society, rather than because they're more fashionable. Like, they had the same goal, but they have a better less insane motivation. And then, let's see, Sun and Moon. Team Skull's goal is that they're just public nuisances they're just fucking high school dropout crash outs, is their main issue. And the other villain, the Aether Foundation in that game, and the leader's horny. The leader's horny for your friend's abusive mom. And then the Aether Foundation's goal is they're, like, exploring, like, ultra space or whatever. So no big deal on that one. And then let's see, who is the antagonists in... Sword and Shield. That's Team Yell. Team Yell is motivation is that they're the parasocial fan base of one of your friends, and they don't like that you're talking to her. And that is... and they want her to win the Pokemons. And that's Team Yell's motivation. And then Team Star's motivation in Scarlet and Violet is that they were kids that got bullied, and so they just left school. They're bullied children that got bullied out of school. And so the reason that they're antagonists in that game is primarily because your real goal in that game is just to get them to go to school. That's it. That's the motivation. Your motivation is, like, get the fucking school. I don't know why people hate Scarlet and Violet. That game's fucking great. What was I saying? Oh, yeah. So this game has a weaker soundtrack than most of the other Pokemon games. The battle system in this is a little simplistic. Very stripped down. Pokemon don't have abilities, which throws me off all the fucking time because I keep expecting Pokemon to have Levitate, and then they don't. So I've been, like, holding off on using ground moves against certain Pokemon, and it just, like, it is pointless. It is not There's no reason. I could be using so many more ground moves than I was in this game. Yeah, Pokemon don't have abilities. The battle system doesn't really support Soul Silver's 400 on Amazon. I have Heart Gold. So, in case. I had to buy the case separately. Yeah. What was I saying? Yeah, the battle system's simplistic. It doesn't really support status moves, it seems like, in this game. I was using my normal strategies of, like, hypnosis and paralysis and stuff like that, but it just doesn't support this. It's very much attack, attack, attack. For reference, the most I've spent on a game was 325 on 100 grand. See, I would never spend that. I will say that, like, I actually think that, like, Gold and Silver were better games than the original Gen 1 games. Like, Gen 2 I think is better than Gen 1, but it's not worth $400. I'll say that. I love Hunting Ground. That's fair. Like, you can buy a cheaper Pokemon, is what I'm saying. But like, really strong cast, sort of weak soundtrack, which is uncharacteristic of a Pokemon game. This is still not the peak of Pokemon fashion. I would say that the original X and Ys are better in that regard, but it's better than we've had in a while, and I do like that they're not gender locked, so you do have the option of, like, wearing boys or girls clothing regardless of what your model is, which is pretty good. As always, the clothing is mostly skewed towards girls fashion, but that wasn't a problem for me, as you can imagine. Very few callback characters outside of Az and Lysander, and we got Emma. She's literally on screen right now. Look at her. She's all happy and shit. We haven't seen her since she was a horrible, horrible test subject. Since she was an abused little orphan girl as a horrible test subject for super weapons. And she's not that anymore. She's a nice little detective, which is a nice little arc for her. Love the cast on this. And other than that, yeah, ZA's was a pretty good time. I honestly think it's overhated. Obviously, it was rushed out development because you're supposed to be able to explore the southern region. But to be honest, I enjoyed the size of this. I am one of those people that keeps saying I think open world games are too fucking big, so I actually like the fact that Lumio City was just a big fucking city. You mentioned fashion because I said that new Pokemon games trailers, my first thought was, why are the main characters so dripless? You can probably change your clothes. I will say this, Scarlet and Violet, they only gave you, like, the school uniforms, and there were, like, 4 options, and it was very controversial. But they have returned the ability to change clothes in ZA. I would be shocked if they don't let you change your clothes and your hair and your eyes and your skin and all that. That's been pretty bog standard since XY. In fact, what got me back into Pokemon after I hadn't played since Gen 3 was the fact that XY added the ability to customize your character and change your clothes and shit. So I'm gonna say that. I actually really like the girl character design. I don't like the starter Pokemon. For, like, the first time ever, I'm looking at the starter Pokemon like, ugh. But that's fine. I don't even know which one I'll pick because I'm not a fan of fucking any of them. Maybe the grass type is the best one. But I do like dogs, so maybe the Pomeranian, but I'm not a big fan of any of them. Usually it's hard to pick the starter because I like all of them. This time I'm like, ugh, they kind of all suck. So, excuse me. You can add it into one of the minigame sex like because he likes playing dress up. You fucking bet your ass. No, I'll hold that XY is just a solid ass game all around though. ZA I will also hold to. I don't know. I'm going in circles. I want to talk about something. This is a spoiler. So, I don't know. Come back in, I don't know, fucking 10 minutes if you don't want me to spoil the end of this game. You've got like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and your time is up. We've got to talk about this end of this game because I was floored. First off, I almost shed a tear at the end of this game. If you had told me that any Pokemon game was going to end like ZA, I'm not sure I would have fucking believed you. You ever have one of those paper dolls as a kid, the ones where they're like in their underwear and they have some paper clothes you put over it? No, never. I like women's fashion. What do you want me to say? Yeah. I would never have believed a Pokemon game would end how this Pokemon game did. Like, okay. If you... If you're here, that means you've accepted, you've signed yes on I'm getting spoiled at this. As dying is fucking crazy. All right? Yeah, no, it's a thing. I've just never had it. But like, okay. As dying is fucking crazy. I certainly wasn't expecting the final scene of the game to be you and your friends standing over his fucking gravestone, saying your last words to the man, and I was certainly not expecting the very last shot of the entire game to be this man's fucking grave. Woo! Woo! Holy shit, Pokemon! What the fuck did that come from? Like Pokemon often, Pokemon has hinted at characters being dead before, but, like, straight up, no, we've killed this guy, he's fucking dead. No, he's dead. He is you can visit his grave. That man is fucking corpse. You visit his grave, you say words at his fucking funeral, that dude is dead. And, Pokemon, obviously, you know, there's all the Doomsday, cults and all of the attempts, and, you know, there's the hint in, I guess I shouldn't say that, because you're actively playing that game. I was gonna say the Lavender Town hints with Gary and whatnot, but, yeah, no, Pokemon's never just been like, no, we fucking killed, this man is dead. This man is fucking dead. Hey, your fucking mentor, we killed him. He's in the ground, say goodbye. So yeah, wow, what a fucking ending. Honestly, fuck the haters. Fucking, a lot of, people are, on Pokemon because they're like, oh, it's low effort, and they don't have enough time to cook, and the buildings are just flat PNGs, and they're right. And, there's things to complain about, but, as long as the games are entertaining and I'm having fun, that's really what I care about. And you know that that's true. You know that's where my standard is. Because have you ever heard me not shit on Sword and Shield? You fucking haven't. So if they actually fuck up, you know, with Sword and Shield, you know I'll be like, no, fuck, fuck that. That game was piss. My brother has this game, though I don't know what he thinks of it. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are, there's this sort of, hate wave on Pokemon that's been going on since the Switch era. And a lot of it is that the games are, super rushed at this point. And you can feel it. You really can. I'm not going to say you can't. But as long as I'm enjoying it, that's all I care about, is the thing. Which is why Sword and Shield sucks. But yeah, so I think all around, this was a really good game. Is this the best Pokemon ever made? No. But I do think it was a solid start-to-stop adventure. I like how the side quests... Some of the side quests were a bit weaker in this, but some of them were, actually good and, tied in with the cast and the characters and stuff like that. Love the cast. Love Lita. Underrated character. Just a solid ass Pokemon game. Just a good time all around. So, yeah. I had a train of thought somewhere, and it's gone. I've lost it. Anyway, I did play one more thing after Legends ZA, and that was Pokemon Legends ZA Mega Dimension DLC. That's right, I played the DLC as well. This DLC has a reputation for being grindy, and it is, and it's more grindy if you care about stupid shit that you shouldn't, which I don't. So people hate that you can't choose what the donuts do. For those that don't know, this game uses donuts to take you into Mega Dimension. The actual thesis statement of Mega Dimension sounds fucking stupid, for the record. But I will say this about Mega Dimension, is that there's actually a plot. Basically these weird... Alright, so now that I think about it, this game has the plot of Persona. So, alright, these portals to the collective unconsciousness of Lumiose City start opening up over the city, and you need to make donuts to infiltrate into people's subconsciousness, into the collective unconscious. And then you have to beat really powerful rogue mega evolving Pokemon. It's a little bit of recycled from the main gameplay loop, where you have to defeat the rogue mega evolutions. But I will say that there is at least more story to this. This is a little grindy, I will say that, but I will also say that for most of the game, just doing the side quests was enough to get the survey points to unlock the next stage of the main story. In fact, I accidentally activated the main story a little too often on accident, up until the very final one where you needed 100,000 survey points for Rayquaza, where I had to actually grind, and I was like, this fucking sucks. But if you're one of those people that care about your decks, like if you're trying to complete the Pokedex because you've got to catch them all, you know what I'm saying? Or if you're trying to do shiny catching, which honestly I've always thought catching all of the Pokemon and worrying about shinies is fucking stupid anyway, but if you're one of those people that has terrible priorities and you care about shiny hunting, then yeah, this is definitely an absolute fucking nightmare for you. But you've willfully chosen to shiny hunt, so you've already signed up for wasting your fucking time. No, if I was that person, I'd hate that, though. I would like the ability to choose your bonuses like other games. I think there is a solid argument to be made that the sandwich system from, like, Scarlet Violet did let you actively choose your bonuses, and I do think that's a detraction point for Mega Dimension. So I do think that's fair. That's why Atlas hasn't released Persona 6 and are just remaking older Persona games. This came out, and Kuzuhisa Wada saw it and slammed his head on the on fire rage and shouted, fuck. We accidentally came up with a Pokemon plotline. But yeah, no, Ansha's really cute. I like that she's Diancia's, like the champion of the region's like daughter. I think that's nice. They just sort of hint at that. I didn't mention this. I did all of the side quests. I did all 200 side quests, including the specially released EXE missions. I also, in case you're wondering, Mega Garchomp Z was announced during the Pokemon Presents, which happened after I had already beaten the Mega Dimension DLC, and I got it last night. It wasn't that hard. It was like a tier 1 fight, so I just sort of ripped it to fucking shreds. But I got it. I didn't use it because I didn't give a shit. I did all 200 side quests. I got the shiny charm from completing Maple's research. I fucking love Maple. Maple might be my favorite Pokemon professor ever because I love that she, like, actively insisting that she's not a Pokemon professor. And I love the concept that your Pokemon professor in this region, in this game, is specifically a former Doomsday Cult member who is... who is, like, confined to desk work. Like, the people joke that she's the first professor with an ankle monitor because they're forcing her into community service because she tried to destroy the world, and I love it. I loved Maple immediately because she is such a colossal bitch from word go. Because she doesn't give a shit, she doesn't want to be here, and she just wants her job to be over, and the mayor keeps making more work for her. She's great. I love her. I absolutely love her. We've gotten girl failure Pokemon professor. Now we have probationary criminal bitch professor, and she's fucking delightful. I love that Pokemon is starting to mix up what it's doing with its cast members. It's really breaking from the mold with its professors now, and with its like, it's really breaking out of the sort of formula it developed during the first 5 gens. And I can see, like, I feel like a lot of people that are really pissed off about modern Pokemon are just, like, fucking old people that are like, back in my day, the teams were the Mafia, and all of our fucking Pokemon professors were just some random fucking Japanese dude. And now we've got fucking girl failure, and time traveler, and fucking deformed doomsday cultist. It's great. I love it. Anyway, oh yeah, I forgot to talk about Mega Dimension. Yeah, it's fine. It's certainly not the best DLC. It's not like on par with like the Scarlet Violet DLCs or whatever. But it's a lot better than you'd expect with a bland ass title like Mega Dimension and a bland ass fucking trailer that it got. Like, there's actually a story here. I appreciate that Darkrai, Mega Darkrai, is just a ripped out eyeball. It's like a fucking Kirby villain. Meanwhile, walking, a small child got pissed at me having a skirt instead of shorts and challenged me to a shadow game. Oh, that is one complaint I have about Pokemon Legends ZA, is that all of the skirts in the game are actually skirts, where they're like pants in the back and skirts in the front, and like, just put some bike shorts under it. Like, I understand that the jumping and the flipping in the game is like designed so you don't get constant panty shots of the character, but just put shorts under it then. And the fact is, there is an outfit, like the Goth Girl outfit, that you buy at the like fucking overpriced goth clothing, the goth clothes, the goth store and the goth mall in the game, where that costs like $100,000. It manages to do it by just putting shorts under the fucking skirt. Just put shorts under the skirt. I understand that you're trying to prevent the panty shots, but just put for shorts under the skirt. You also don't succeed at that, actually, because there's one outfit that's just like a trench coat. Goth clothes are always overpriced unless you make them yourself. They're not as bad as you'd expect, but there is, if you want to get the cool goth socks, it's going to cost you $100,000 for the socks. Just the socks. Just the lacy goth socks in black will cost you $100,000. Wear jeans under your skirt. That the game will let you do. There's not a lot of like great like pants up. Like it's like, do you want jeans? Do you want ripped pants? Do you want cargo shorts? But like you can't get skirt. The game's not very good on skirt. We still haven't gotten bikini back. Pokemon ain't ever given it. The next game is called Wind and Waves, and I would be shocked if we get bikini back. All right, we haven't seen bikini since like X and Y, and we're not getting bikini anymore. All right. They're not going to let us put you in a bikini anymore. But I will say that I do know that there's two different Pokemon teams. I actually do hope that ZA continues the ability to like not. I do hope that they continue going forward in Wind and Waves to not having the clothes and like the hairstyles gender locked, because I just think that's beneficial. I like that they didn't do that for these games. But anyway, ZA, do I have anything to say? Yeah, I finished all 200 quests. There is a side mission in this to do a fight against Karina. If you're doing the Infinite ZA Royale, you can fight Karina, and she's supposed to be able to Mega Evolve every single one of her Pokemon, and all of them are like level 95, which makes her like the second strongest fucking Pokemon trainer of all time. And I would argue probably the strongest, because all of her Pokemon Mega Evolve. And apparently, like, I tried to do the ZA Royale. I did like 62 runs through of the Infinite Royale, and I kept like seeing like, how do I the fucking unlock this? Is there a way to like trick the game into giving me Karina? I tried saves and reloads. I couldn't get Karina. And then I saw the person on YouTube that was fighting her was on 155 of the ZA Royale, and I was like, I'm not doing that though. I'm not going to do that, is the thing. So I never ended up fighting Karina with her all Mega Evolution team. But I did do Quest 200, so I did beat the rival with all level 100 Pokemon. And that was a good fight. I'm gonna blow your mind. That fight was still not as hard as the Diamond and Pearl Cynthia fight. I'm not joking. Cynthia is a fucking nightmare. I will admit freely, I had done EV/IV training and like hyper training, because I did have a good amount of bottle caps. So I bottle capped the shit out of all of my team. So anyway, yeah, Mega Dimension. Am I done? I think I'm done with Pokemon. That's it. That's what you get for Pokemon. Okay, let's run through these next ones a little quickly. I did a Star Wars marathon. Boom, 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 boom. I can't go any further with that. Started off with Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. This movie needs no introduction, so I'm not going to tell you what it's about. I will say this movie is... Now, granted, I was in a pretty Star Wars-y mood at the time, so I think part of it might just be that fact. But this movie was better than I remembered. I will say that I had more of an appreciation for the political aspects of these. Part of the big issue I always had with the prequels was that the politics was so boring. But I'm like I said in like a recent review or something, at this point I would rather listen to long-winded economic discussions than I would watch anyone punch anyone in the face anymore. So honestly, I wasn't bad with this. The acting in this is fucking atrocious. And I think this is a George Lucas issue, because we've seen all of these actors in other things and they're fine. And we've even seen them in later Star Wars productions, and they act fine. So I think George Lucas is just really bad at directing people, which he's sort of famous for being bad at dealing with people anyway. We all know the stories about the original New Hope dialogue. So I blame Lucas on that regards. I love that Darth Maul doesn't say anything. The movies are so different than all of the fucking side content. They're like two different universes, because what I've always viewed the Star Wars movies as at this point is that the point of a Star Wars movie is to give enough plot threads that they can spin off into the better side material, because let's be real, the movies have like really never been all that great. So I love that like Qui-Gon Jinn is now like the coolest guy ever, even though in this movie he gets like bodied by Maul, like absolutely dog walked by Maul. It also helps that Liam Neeson in his super hot Rob Roy era. Okay. Oh my god, that is Liam Neeson, isn't it? Anyway, yeah, this movie's fine. This movie's fine. I will say, Qui-Gon Jinn, like in like canon, in like expanded universe and Legends, it has like this reputation of being this unstoppable super Jedi. He kind of sucked. Like, he was very much a spiritualist sort of Jedi. He was not a combat monster, and this movie I think demonstrates it, because Obi-Wan has like a near 100% win rate against Darth Maul, and Qui-Gon Jinn has gotten his ass beat every time Maul shows up. And don't get me wrong, Maul is definitely one of the most dangerous people in Star Wars, but but on the other hand, if his Padawan is consistently winning against this guy, I don't think we can really call Qui-Gon Jinn that great at a fighter. But that's okay, because he invented reincarnating yourself as a Force ghost. So yeah, I do think that Jedi rank themselves. Force users tend to rank themselves more by how good they are with the Force, more than who can beat the shit out of out of anyone else. Have I seen him in Rob Roy? I'm going to look him up. I'm probably not going to find him hot. I'm going to be honest. But I'm willing to look him up, mate. I'm willing to look up Liam Neeson and Rob Roy. But I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm drooling over him. All right, what do we got? What do we got? That just looks like a young Liam. It just looks like a young Liam Neeson to me. Okay. I'm going to type in Rob Roy, Liam Neeson, hot. And we're going to see. It's also just... I've never seen it. I've never even heard of this. Is Rob Roy, Liam Neeson hot? The AI search results say that he's often considered intense and compelling. Critics have noted his performance as heroic and romantic. While other opinions have his physical appearance may vary, his acting skills and character's emotional journey contribute successfully to the film's success. It's a bit subjective of whether he's hot or not. Okay, well, I wanted a hot or not on Liam Neeson. I wanted to see how your taste lined up with other women, but I guess I can't do that search engine. I guess it's not considered gauche to. That's not what I meant. To rate actors on how hot they are. Anyway, Phantom Menace is fine. Yeah, Anakin in this is a little awkward. I like how he just like blows up a bunch of space stations and shit. It's a little silly and jovial in a way that I'm not fully sure I appreciate, but it's a lot better than I remembered. And I think it helps that I was just sort of in a Star Warsian mood. All right, kicking us off, Star Wars Episode 2: Attack of the Clones. This is the most dramatic time skip of any Star Wars movie. Like, there is a 10-year time gap between this movie and the last movie. So much has changed. This movie opens up with, like, the Separatist Alliance has happened, and thousands of systems have seceded from the Republic. And it's like, motherfucker, what? I have never heard of a single bit of, like, expanded lore between this time period. There is so much you could get into. This seems like such an untested, like unexplored waters. Like, everything is always between like episode 3 or 4. There's so much you could be doing between episodes 1 and 2. Like, how did Dooku rise? How did the Separatist state start? What happened with the secession? What's going on with that? There's like so much interesting political figures that you could be dealing with during this time period. There's the whole like master, like what's his name? Selo Voss, something like that. such an untapped, tapped ocean of content between these two movies that's like no one is dealing with. My taste is weird. You know who else I think is good looking? Steve Buscemi in Reservoir Dogs. Okay, I'm not sure I've ever heard anyone say Steve Buscemi is hot. So maybe you're right. Maybe it's just a you thing. I think I have heard people say good things about Liam Neeson, though. I don't think you're alone with Liam Neeson. Anyway, yeah, Attack of the Clones is a fine movie. It's a very slow start. Like, even now, having just watched it, the movie is like 3 segments to me, and I know there's political discussions, but really it's just like Obi-Wan Kenobi finding out about the Kaminoans, and then they get captured, and then, oh god, where do they get captured? I was gonna say Cato Nemoidia, but I think it's Geonosia. And then they fight, and then Mace Windu kills fucking Jango Fett, and then there's this weird romantic subplot between Anakin and Padme, who have the least amount of romantic chemistry of any characters I've ever seen on screen in any movie ever of all time. I can understand why George Lucas thought he was writing a romantic plot, because I can see the bones. But God, what he built on those bones was just not fucking it. It is an absolute mess of a fucking romance plot in this. I will say that the famous line of "I hate sand" is so much better in context, because she set him up for that line where she's talking about sand and he's like, "I fucking hate sand." You know, so it's a lot realer and more raw when you have the context on that. But yeah, a lot of like the dialogue and the romantic plots between this, it's just not very good. I know a few women who say they found Steve Buscemi attractive in Ghost World, but that's more likely because he plays a really kind, sweet person. It's one of those few movies where Steve Buscemi and the cast is a tender romantic role. Yeah, that probably has a lot to do with it. Yeah, this movie's fine. One thing that slightly bugs me is that we have several scenes of like Obi-Wan being like, "I need to find Kaminoa. He disappeared somewhere here in the Reishi maze." And he keeps pointing to like the fucking inner rim of the galaxy, when the Reishi maze, I believe, is actually like one of the 4 satellite dwarf galaxies of the Star Wars galaxy. So he keeps pointing to like almost the center of the fucking galaxy in the inner rim, and he's like, "Right there." He disappeared somewhere here. And then every time anyone points, they always point towards the middle of the galaxy for Kaminoa, when again, Kaminoa is technically not even in the damn galaxy. It's off in this fucking, it's like south, it's like the galactic southeast, I think. Off in like this satellite dwarf galaxy. Absolute. Now, granted, this is very clearly because the actor was told to point somewhere random. And then he does. And then, like, he doesn't have any control. He wasn't even looking at the fucking hologram. But I do like that every time they point to Kaminoa, that is so clearly not where Kaminoa is. And that's something that you only catch if you're a huge fucking nerd. Only a huge fucking nerd would notice they keep pointing to the wrong place every time they mention this planet. So... And this isn't an instance of later lore. This isn't an instance of later lore fucking it up, because they literally say where the planet is several times. They specifically state where Kaminoa is in the movie. It's just not where they're putting on the map. So it's more of an issue with the movie. The thing that gets me wrong with prequels is the green screen background. Yeah, it's just solid ass green screen for most of them. Which is probably what led to a lot of those issues. Like, yes, here is where Kaminoa is. And he points to the fucking dead center of the... He's pointing closer to Coruscant than he is pointing to Kaminoa. Anyway, yeah, the movie's fine. Is it better than Phantom Menace? Maybe no. I really do think the Anakin Padme thing is a little dry. I'm not one to talk about age gaps. That's a Gen Z thing. But I do think that like the Padme Anakin romance is a little awkward, just because she was like a teenager when he was like this little kid, and I straight up could not imagine. I could not even fathom the concept of dating someone who I knew as a small child when I myself was not also, at the same time, a small child. it's weird. I don't think it's just me. I'm not gonna say, is it just me if it's weird? No, I think it's just weird. I think a lot of people would be like, it's a little weird. I think if you look at their like ages that the characters are supposed to be, it's less weird, because Anakin as a character is supposed to be older than you'd expect the character was supposed to be in Phantom Menace, and Padme is supposed to be younger than you'd think she was in Phantom Menace, and I think even the actors weren't that far apart in age. It just sort of looks like it. But even with all of those concessions, it's still a little fucking weird. I'll talk about the Anakin Padme age gap is a little weird. It's pretty weird. Yeah. I felt the need to be like, it's a little weird. It's a little weird. So there we go. All right, moving on from Attack of the Clones. Can you guess what I watched next? Yeah, that's right. You nailed it. I watched the Clone Wars movie. Yes, that's right. Yeah, that's right. We're going that deep with it. That's how far this is gonna go. I watched the Clone Wars movie. This is about a battle taking place out in space during Clone Wars. See, Clone Wars is actually where Anakin gets a fucking personality. I am almost convinced that most people that like Anakin like him because of Clone Wars. Because, dear God, is he a different character? He's like an actual person in Clone Wars, and in fucking the movies, he's just the worst. He's just the fucking worst. Anyway, this is the introduction to the character of Ahsoka Tano. People always talk about early Ahsoka Tano being annoying. I actually think she's sort of endearing in this movie. She's very zealous and eager, and a lot of the like character flaws that she supposedly works out in the later parts of the show aren't even present in this. She's just sort of like a happy-go-lucky, optimistic little Padawan. And it's interesting seeing her like relationship develop with Anakin. A lot of this is about like saving the son of, who was it, Jabba the Hutt or something? Looking up, Jake Lloyd and Natalie Portman were born 8 years apart. So, yeah, and I've always said, like, age gaps are weirder the younger the people are. Like, an 8-year age gap between two 50-year-olds, that's like fucking nothing. But an 8-year age gap between people in their teens, yeah, that's fucking weird. That's fucking weird, though. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, yes. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah. So this movie's fine. I honestly don't think this movie's great. I don't think this sets up for a lot of like the clone. Apparently, this was supposed to be like a 1-hour TV special, and they ended up spinning this off into a full movie, which is probably why it's a little bit weaker. It's not the best introduction to Clone Wars. Excuse me. That would make Padme 18 when she met a 10-year-old Anakin. That is, as they say, yeah, it's weird. It is weird. It is weird. I do believe that like the ages of the characters is closer than their actors' ages, but not enough that it doesn't make it not weird, is the thing. Anyway, this movie's fine. We get to see some of the meddling of Count Dooku. Who is, the Count Dooku appears in the Clone Wars movie, and they fight him, and he beats everyone's ass. I forgot about that. Well, who cares? Count Dooku's cool. Count Dooku's one of those characters that's cool no matter what era of Star Wars you're in. You saw this movie in theaters? Oh, I remember I didn't like this movie when I saw it the first time. It's fine. It's not good. It's not great. It's fine. It wasn't good. It wasn't. Now, it's not the best that Clone Wars has to offer. I would say that Ahsoka is like a far cry from where she ends up as like my favorite Star Wars character from this. But it is what it is. It sets you up for a TV show. It was supposed to be a TV special, and then they turned it into a movie, and then that's where this came from. So I think we're done with the Clone Wars movie. I watched all 7 seasons of the Clone Wars TV show. All 7. I'm going to say something that I've always said. And shocker, I'm sticking by it, even having rewatched all of this. The Clone Wars TV show is the best canon Star Wars media. Period. Straight up. It's just the best. It is the best canon Star Wars that exists. I'm including the movies. I'm including all of it. This is the best canon fucking Star Wars thing. This is just straight up, this is good fucking television. People say that Ahsoka pissed people off in season 1. I think she's totally likable. I think she's fine. No issues in season 1. Season 2, I actually think is a little bit of weaker. I think it pisses around a little bit with too many side characters. Season 3 has a level, is that the one with the heavy emphasis on the Mortis gods? I fucking hate the Mortis gods. I hate the Mortis gods. I hate the concept of them. I don't like them. I don't think they're interesting. I did completely forget the fact that Ahsoka fucking dies and they put the literal embodiment of the light side to bring her back into her body. I forgot that even happened. And then that brings us into season 4. Season 4 is when the show comes the fuck online. That's when we get into the Night Sisters. That's when we get into the resurrection of Darth Maul, the Savage Opress shit. That's when Ventress starts coming into her own as a character. That's when Ahsoka starts really becoming the competent badass that she would be later on in the series. I love the Mandalore stuff, which I think was also a season 4 stuff. And I love the romance between Obi-Wan and Sabine, where Sabine's like, well, I'm a Duchess and you're a Jedi, and Jedi are all celibate and shit. And then we get into the Death Watch shit and we get into the fucking Red Dawn shit as Mon starts becoming a criminal mob boss. So many good shit starts happening towards the second half of season 3 into the season 4 into the season 5 stuff. Not even to mention, isn't season 4 I believe is where we see Palpatine roll up and just fucking murder Savage Opress, fucking beat the shit out of Darth Maul and laugh the whole time. What a fucking good duel that was. Holy shit. Not even including season 5, which got way darker than anyone was expecting, where Ahsoka's, spoilers for a fucking 30-year-old show, I guess, where Ahsoka's best friend convinces a woman to put a bomb in her husband to blow up the Jedi Temple and then frames her for it, which is used as the explanation, by the way, for why Ahsoka doesn't appear in any of the later movies, is because she actually leaves the Jedi Temple because she was really pissed off at the Jedi for just going along with the frame job where she got framed for blowing up this dude and killing everyone in the hangar. She got framed for a terrorist attack and was like, what the fuck was all this shit about? And they're like, yes, it was the will of the Force that caused that. Well, I guess you're gonna get promoted to Jedi Knight now. And she's like, fuck you, I'm leaving. And then she leaves and it's fucking great. And then there's the season 6, which was picked up by Netflix, which is just a bunch of half-baked, incompleted ideas. Let's see, from what I'm remembering of season 6, it was the early start of Order 66, where Order 66, the biochip triggers early, which they actually do stuff with in the season 7 of this. Very, very solid season on that one. Was that also the one where, no, that's season 7 where they introduced the Bad Batch, I think. And that's a little weaker because I'm not the biggest Bad Batch fan. But anyway, yeah, just fucking solid on season 6. And then season 7, they introduced the Bad Batch stuff, yada, 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 who gives a shit. And then that ends into, Ahsoka heading into Order 66. Just a powerful shot at the end with, Darth Vader holding her lightsaber and stuff like that. Really good stuff going on in the Clone Wars. I'll hold to it. There's some hits and misses. A lot of the, Jar Jar Binks stuff and a lot of the R2D2 C3PO stuff is who gives a shit about that? And I hate the Mortis gods. I hate the Mortis gods so fucking much. But a lot of the stuff with Death Watch and Mandalore and the Ahsoka stuff is just good, solid. And Maul's almost like a breakout star in this one. This turns Maul into a person. He's not just cool red Zabrak man in this. He's a guy now, which is great. Maul's a character because of Clone Wars, so. So yeah, moving on from Clone Wars. Tales of the Jedi. Tales of the Jedi gives us the backstory for one Count Dooku and a little bit of a backstory for Ahsoka Tano. Continuing on to what I assume goes into the Ahsoka show. I don't know. I didn't watch the Ahsoka show. We get to see a little bit of what caused Dooku's fall, just the general ineptitude and impotence of the Jedi. And we also get to see what, I guess we get backstory on why Ahsoka is so good at blocking blaster fire. I don't think we needed I don't think we needed an entire episode dedicated to why Ahsoka was able to survive Order 66, but we get an entire episode on why Ahsoka is able to survive Order 66. We also get a little cut in to the Empire doing their Jedi hunts, and she just fucking rips apart an Inquisitor, which, to be honest, Inquisitors aren't shit anyway, so it's a little less impressive. He looks really cool, though. He just comes up with that fucking, like, death mask and shit like that. He's awesome looking, but God, she just absolutely bodies him. Because of course she does, because she's fucking Ahsoka Tano. And she's one of the most powerful characters in Star Wars. Which is crazy because she starts out actually pretty good in the Clone Wars movie because she does defeat those like Dooku Robo Guards and stuff like that. I forget what they're called, but yeah, absolute. So it's solid, but like the whole Tales series is a little bare bones anyway. So moving on from that, we get to Revenge of the Sith. I watched this movie in theater. Oh, I also watched Phantom Menace in theaters. I didn't watch Attack of the Clones in theaters, but I did watch Phantom Menace, and I did watch Revenge of the Sith in theaters. This is where we get to see Anakin crash out at the Jedi, and we get the famous tale, the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise, which is due to it. I'm gonna canonize Star Killer Party. I will say this, the guy who plays Star Wars also plays Darth Maul and the Emperor in a lot of other side media. Like, he's like very active in Star Wars. I wouldn't be super shocked if Star Killer comes back in some regard. They recanonized Thrawn of all fucking people, quite frankly. So honestly, they might recanonize him. I also saw Revenge of the Sith. Hey! Yeah, I saw Revenge of the Sith in theaters. It's a movie. It's a movie. Honestly, I do think this is one of the weaker ones. I will say this movie has one of the hardest quotes in fucking movie history, which is, "This is the way liberty dies," with thunderous applause. Fuck, dude. Anyway, yeah. Also, there's a moment in this movie where Anakin runs into General Grievous and is like, General Grievous, we meet at last. And one of them is like, yeah, I thought you'd be taller in person. And that's when my brain was like, wait a minute. Did Anakin never encounter General Grievous at any point during Clone Wars? And apparently no. In the entire 7-season history of Clone Wars, including the movie, at no point does Anakin Skywalker ever meet General Grievous, specifically because of one throwaway line that occurs in this movie. They never meet each other the entire time. It's the wildest shit. I actually had to go back and double check on that. I'm like, there's no way, right? There's no way after 7 seasons Anakin never met Grievous. But he didn't. He really didn't. I also once listened to a woman masturbating while saying the Darth Plagueis quote, something I listened to for sheer spectacle. Why? Yeah, due to a series of retcons, Darth Plagueis was actually alive during Phantom Menace. So that's fun, I guess. We also get to see the Mustafar duel, which is hilarious because so this sort of they retconned Palpatine, because a lot of the idea about Palpatine is that the reason the Vader suit sucks so fucking hard is because Palpatine is like, I don't know, you'd have to ask the lady who uploaded it. That's fair. Is because Palpatine is trying to like keep Anakin weak, which, you know, makes sense for sure. But he, in this movie, seems pretty fucking psyched at the concept of Anakin getting stronger than him. So there's definitely some retcons from the, like, I actually think this movie like retcons some of Palpatine's personality. He seems really Rule of Tui, sort of like Bay Knight Sithy in that regard, where he's like, yes, he's going to be more powerful than any of us. Mace Windu kicks the shit out of Palpatine in this movie, and due to this movie, I will say, I have a definitive answer as to who fucked up and who caused Anakin's fall to the dark side. Now, obviously, the answer is Anakin and Palpatine, blah, 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 blah. But the final screw-up, the final fuck-up was Palpatine came out to Anakin, right? And he's like, Anakin, you should betray the Jedi and become a Sith. And Anakin's like, okay, no. So he goes to the Jedi, specifically goes to Mace Windu, and he's like, hey, Mace Windu, Palpatine's a Sith. I want to help you take him down. And Mace Windu's like, no, we're not doing that. We're going to go fight Palpatine. And then Mace Windu goes to fight Palpatine. And Mace Windu beats the shit out of Palpatine. But this whole time, he's having a whole crisis because he's seen future visions about Padme dying in childbirth. So he comes up, and Mace Windu has beaten Palpatine. I believe even Lucas himself confirmed that no, Mace Windu run that shit straight. Palpatine actually tried and fucking got dropped by Windu. So Windu's got him by the sword, right? And then, you know, Jedi don't kill unarmed prisoners. This is a big thing about the Jedi Code. It's against their whole structure. So Windu's like, I've got him. And Palpatine's like, he's got me. And Anakin's like, okay, great. We're going to go put him on trial, right? And the whole thing about Windu is he's like this huge fundamental Orthodox traditionalist. He's all about like, follow the code. You got to do this shit. You got to do this bullshit. He's one of like the strictest, most like code adhering Jedi. He's a lot less laissez-faire than a sort of like Qui-Gon Jinn or an Obi-Wan or even to some extent a Yoda. So he's like all by the book, and then he's like he'll never face trial. If he faces trial, he'll get out. And Anakin's like, okay, but like you realize we have to put him on trial. And Mace Windu's like, we can't do it. And he goes for the kill, and then that's when Anakin strikes him. And like the thing is, Mace Windu is the one that has like held Anakin back in his position. He's the reason, part of the reason Anakin wasn't promoted to Master. If we go back to Clone Wars, he was one of the biggest proponents against arresting Ahsoka and having her tried without any like real evidence. Like he was one of like the strongest, most strictest adherence to like the orthodoxy of the Jedi, like the decaying of their morals due to like over adherence to this code. And then, when it was most convenient for him, he abandoned the Jedi Code. And seeing that from Mace Windu is the moment where Anakin went from... Because he betrayed Palpatine immediately. No hesitation. It was seeing Mace Windu betray the code of the Jedi that was the immediate reason why Anakin was like, hey, this guy might be able to save, like, Padme. And according to the Jedi Code, you can't just kill a guy, right? And the second Windu was like, well, I'm just going to kill a guy, that's when Anakin ended up swapping sides. So the person that was responsible for Anakin's true fall to the dark side is Mace Windu. There you go. That is my answer. And the best part is, like, as many people have pointed out, like, force healing is a thing, right? And even especially in, like, Legends and Expanded Universe, there's, like, the healing crystals of fire and shit like that. Like, there's plenty of ways in the Star Wars universe to prevent a woman from dying in childbirth, especially because we know she was dying of childbirth from heartbreak due to the fact that Anakin had fallen to the dark side anyway. So, like, realistically, had Mace Windu adhered to the Jedi Code, as he had always preached, if he practiced what he preached, he didn't try to kill Palpatine, they'd have arrested Palpatine, right? Realistically, what would have come out was that Padme was pregnant. Anakin would have been kicked from the Jedi Order, but they would have been able to save her. One, because she wouldn't have been dying from heartbreak, and two, because they could just use force healing or some shit, or one of the million methods to do that. They'd have went off to happily retire to Naboo. Luke and Leia would end up raised like on Naboo in their like retirement home. Palpatine would go to jail. He'd break out, sure, but this is after he had Anakin kill Dooku. This was after he betrayed Ventress. This is after he betrayed Maul. Not only that, Ahsoka had already defeated Maul during the events of Clone Wars, so Ahsoka was already 1 foot back into the Jedi Order, probably would have rejoined the Jedi Order, become a Jedi Knight. Darth Maul would be arrested. Red Dawn would be taken down. The whole criminal empire would have collapsed. Mandalore would be saved. Palpatine would probably escape, but he'd have to rebuild his entire army, which was later retconned into like the episode 9, where he had an entire space army and an armada of Star Destroyers that existed on the outside of the galaxy. But I think we can all ignore episode 9. Can we all agree to ignore the sequel movies, please? Yes, let's. So all of this is Mace Windu's fault, is what I'm saying. What I'm saying is we would have gotten the good ending. Everything could have happened exactly the same up until that moment, and we would have still gotten the good ending if Mace Windu hadn't swung his fucking sword at Palpatine at the last goddamn moment. Her dying from losing her will to live is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. That video where the Force ghosts of Anakin and Obi-Wan watching Rey using Force healing, Anakin goes, was that something we could always do? The answer is yes, by the way. The answer is yes, that is in fact something they could always do. There have been innumerable parodies about the fact that yes, that is in fact a regular-ass Jedi ability. In fact, in Clone Wars, one of the Jedi Masters that Anakin has a dispute with, Luminara, is like a master of Force healing. It would have been fucking, ignoring the fact that she only died because he turned to the dark side, it would have been fucking trivial to keep her alive. Absolutely fucking trivial. So, yeah, Mace Windu fucked it, and he ruined everything for everyone. Everyone blame Mace Windu. Boo. Boo. Shame. Shame, Mace Windu. Anyway, yeah, there we go. And finally, after watching 4 movies and 7 seasons of TV, 8 seasons of TV, I finally finished Revenge of the Sith, which brings us to The Bad Batch. This is about a group of clone soldiers who all have special mutations, and this is divided into 3 seasons. Season 3 is all about dealing with the sort of like, excuse me, it's implied to be a plan to clone Force users, or a plan to clone Palpatine, something like that. But it ends up not going properly. Then Season 2, I don't remember Season 2. Season 1 is actually, I think, the best season, because what this ends up doing is really the start of the Empire. This takes place very shortly. It actually starts very briefly before Order 66, actually it starts at Order 66. I think like episode 1 or 2 is Order 66. We actually see a young Kanan, or a young Caleb as he'd be called, from Star Wars Rebels appear in this. I didn't even put this together until I was watching Rebels, where I'm like, wait, was that kid in Bad Batch fucking Kanan? But anyway, yeah, and we get to see the start of the Empire. We get to see the phasing out of clone soldiers in favor of stormtroopers. We get to see the start of chain codes. We get to see the Imperial crackdown. This show makes a fantastic argument for why tyranny is inefficient and why people constantly being afraid of their lives produces an inefficient bureaucracy. And sort of almost acts as a sort of counter to that like classic Machiavellian quote of "it's better to be feared than loved," where this show makes the argument, no, it's way better to be loved, because if you're feared, people are so afraid of fucking up that it sort of like breeds rampant corruption. And yeah, it's actually like a really solid for the first season. I think it falls off for seasons 2 and 3. One of the major characters dies in this, and it's so lame and anticlimactic that I had to look up if they actually died, and they had actually died, and I was like, oh, that's the shittiest way I've ever seen a character die. But other than that, yeah, Bad Batch. It's not bad. Like I said, I think season 1's the strong season. You need to watch all 3 seasons just to get the full story, but I think season 1's the strong season. Tales of the Empire. This is divided into 2 halves. The first half is talking about Asajj Ventress. Apparently there's some novel, I didn't read it, but there's some novel where she has a bit of a romance with Jedi Master Quaylen Vos, and then she fucking dies. And this explains how she's not dead. The answer is Mother Talzin, because Mother Talzin is a fucking god. She is an absolute fucking deity. She is the strongest Force user in Star Wars, and you can't fucking tell me otherwise. So, yeah, Mother Talzin brings fucking Ventress back, and we get to see her fuck around in, I want to say, like, Tatooine, with, like, a Jedi that she picks up that she's trying to get rid of constantly, and she ends up becoming, like, the master to this little Padawan. It's actually kind of cute. We also get to see the backstory of Cad Bane. Cad Bane is a sort of Boba Fett-esque character who I didn't think he was that cool when he first appeared, and the more we learn about him, the less I think he's actually all that cool. Cad Bane's one of those characters where I'm like, God, I just don't give a fuck about Cad Bane. I think his backstory is a little interesting. I think his, like, pregnant girlfriend, it was, like, kind of an interesting twist. Honestly, I think the most interesting thing about Cad Bane is his backstory. So, that brings us to the end of Tales of the Underworld. Knights of the Old Republic is a game that I keep trying to replay, but the game has just not aged well at all. It's still my favorite game. It is still my favorite game, but you really have to know how D&D 3.5 works in order to appreciate it. Because it's literally just D&D 3.5. Star Wars Rebels. Everyone talks... Okay, Rebels was the show that they basically canceled Clone Wars to make, and Season 1 was designed to be, like, very child friendly. Like, people have called it like the kid version of Clone Wars, which was already supposed to be a kid's show, but stopped being a kid's show because it was on Cartoon Network and they didn't give a shit. And yeah, I definitely feel it. People say it comes online closer in season 2, season 3, season 4. I bubbled my Dragon Age Origins is not in any way Dungeons and Dragons, by the way, not in the fucking slightest. Yeah, I can't get over the fact that it's very much an episodic kids show. There's some series episodes that I do think are better than others. Twilight of Apprentice is fucking great. I almost wish Ahsoka stayed dead. I almost think it would be better if Ahsoka was dead. I actually think her getting killed by Vader is probably the way to go with that character. But yeah, I do think the ending of that was pretty cool. There's like a huge spoiler about like Ezra and like his master that I don't super want to. You know what? No, the show's like fucking 8 years old. Yeah. So anyway, like Kanan fucking dies, right? And I thought his death was another one that I was like, well, that's kind of a lame way to die. They bring in this like whole space time bubble stuff. I don't know. I think there's strong episodes in this, but like everyone who's on like Rebels as if it's like the equal of Clone Wars is high off their fucking ass. Like fucking Rebels is nowhere near as good as Clone Wars. Like it's not comparable. Like there's some really solid episodes. Again, I do think Twilight of the Apprentice is good. I think there's some solid episodes in it. I actually thought that Sabine taking over the Darksaber, and I thought her Mandalore stuff was actually interesting. For once, I actually thought the Mandalore stuff was interesting. You know, for an age where Jedi are all basically extinct, there sure seem to be a lot of them. Alright, so statistically speaking, there really aren't that many. So, okay, if we go with every named Jedi that we know survived Order 66 in Disney canon, we have Canon, we have Cal Kestis, we have Cal Kestis's like mentor, because I haven't played those Jedi games. That's 3. We have Obi-Wan, we have Yoda. That's 5. That's fine. Well, and technically we also have like Barriss Offee, but she ends up becoming an Imperial Inquisitor, and we also have the Grand Inquisitor, but he also becomes an Inquisitor. So do we count the ones that become Inquisitors? So that's 7 in a galaxy. Like there were 10,000 Jedi. I've actually argued. Oh, and there's also Ventress's apprentice. So I guess that's 6 Jedi that like identify as being, because Ahsoka wasn't a Jedi. Ahsoka actually left it. One of the cool like lines in Rebels. One of the better Rebels has some cool Vader lines. Is the thing. Is like Ahsoka confronts Vader, and Ahsoka's like, "You can never be my master. He'd never be as like cruel as this." And he's like, "Anakin was weak, and I killed him." And Ahsoka's like, "Well, then I'll avenge him." And then Vader's like, "Vengeance is not the Jedi way." And then Ahsoka's like, "I'm no Jedi." And then she just turns her fucking lightsabers on. Yeah, so, like, Ahsoka's not a Jedi, is worth noting. So it's, like, 7-ish that I think that are named. It's probably Quaylen Voss survived, so that's, like, 8. There really, statistically, should be, like, way the fuck more. Makes you think Obi-Wan didn't have to sit there getting 2 times aging because of the 2 sons. Well, because he was also helping to raise Luke, who in Clone Wars, no, in Rebels, it's in Rebels where Maul has his rematch with Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan kills Maul. And like Obi-Wan reveals that like he's watching over like Luke, and Maul is like, "Is he the chosen one?" And Obi-Wan's like, "Yes." So Obi-Wan like wasn't like just fucking around aging and stuff like that. He genuinely believed Luke Skywalker was the chosen one that would bring balance to the Force. Like, not Anakin, he thought it was Luke. And of course it was Anakin, we know that. But it makes a lot more sense when you filter it through the perspective of Obi-Wan genuinely believing that Luke Skywalker was the one that would defeat the Sith. And in a way, he kind of did. So yeah, I don't think 7 Jedi is a lot of Jedi. Frankly, there should be more Jedi. I've not seen any of this shit, by the way. That's fine. So if anything, there should be more Jedi. I've said it before, like, realistically, there were supposed to be 10,000 Jedi during Order 66. There's no fucking way they all died. Luminara also survived. But there's so I guess 8, but she was captured by the Empire, so it doesn't matter. There's no realistic way that like only 7 or 8 Jedi should have survived. 10, I guess, if you include like 11, I guess if you include the Inquisitors. So yeah, like realistically speaking, there should be hundreds, possibly thousands of Jedi surviving in the galaxy. But the fact is, most Jedi weren't combat trained Jedi Knights. Like most Jedi Knights were like real shit positions. Like they were archivists or they were like mechanics or shit like that. Not all of them were like absolute, like we follow in these stories the absolute top of the biggest of the baddest of the best fighters. Like most of the Jedi that survived Order 66 realistically went on to become like fucking farmers on Dantooine or some shit like that. And they like lived to 86 and then they got murdered by a Cath Hound is like most Jedi's story. So, like, if anything, the ones that we do, like, it seems like there's a lot of Jedi that survived, but realistically, there should have been way, way, way more Jedi. Original trilogy, the prequels, the 2003 Star Wars, Rogue One, Solo. I have not seen Solo. I've seen a few episodes of the Clone Wars TV show, but not even full season. I will still argue that the Clone Wars TV show is the best Star Wars medium that's canon. Especially season 4 and 7. Especially 4, 5, and 7. Anyway, yeah, I think Rebels has some good episodes, but I do think it's largely weak. There's some other TV shows I'm missing, like Andor and shit. Like, I hear Andor's really good. I didn't watch it. And like The Mandalorian and stuff like that. And I hear The Acolyte is fucking dog shit, but I didn't watch that either. Because I wanted to avoid anything that was like firmly Disney canon, more or less, outside of like the Tales series and Rogue One, and I guess Rebels. Shut up. I watched the animated shit. We know I love animated shit. Okay, Tales of the Empire. Tales of the Empire is divided into 2 halves. The story of Barriss Offee as she becomes an Inquisitor and then stops being an Inquisitor. Barriss Offee is a fucking menace. Can we talk about this? Barriss Offee is a character who knocked out Asajj Ventress, a character who defeated Ahsoka Tano in a fair 1v1 duel, and a character that managed to go toe-to-toe with Anakin fucking Skywalker before he lost his patience and just started force-throwing her. Barriss Offee is a fucking menace. Luminara sucks because Ventress beat the shit out of her, but Barriss Offee is like weirdly one of the strongest characters in all of Star Wars, and it doesn't make any fucking sense for her to be. Bolt Dickney. The other one is apparently a character that's more relevant to some of the like new Disney TV show stuff. Her name is like Morgan, and she was like a Night Sister who ends up like becoming a member of the Imperial faction. And it actually continues past the point of episode 6 when the Empire falls, where she has like her like where like the New Republic shows up and then she just fucking murders everyone. She's cool as shit, actually. I'd almost be considering watching this like new like Thrawn Ezra shit. Just because of her, just because I thought she was like it's a really good sell for this character, honestly. Anyway, yeah, Barriss might be dead, not clear on that, but yeah, Tales of the Empire was kind of interesting. And then we're gonna kick us off with actually the finale, because I didn't get time to watch the original trilogy, but believe me, this is as close to the original trilogy as we can get. Because I watched fucking Rogue One again! Boop, 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 boom! Rogue One! Okay, Rogue One was better on a rewatch, I will say that. Obviously, this is all about finding the Death Star. There's a lot of boring action scenes in this that I just didn't give a shit about, which is something I remembered from the original. Excuse me. But I will say that it is better in full context when you've watched all of the stuff before. Like, for example, the main character, Jaina Orso, was raised by Saul Guerrera, who is, like, a major, like, rebel commando who was originally trained by, like, Anakin as a resistance against the Separatists. So... And at one point, they're on the Yavin 4 base, and in the background, you hear them call for the assistance of General Syndulla, which is, of course, a reference to Hera Syndulla, the, like, captain from Rebels. So that's cool. There's a lot of, like, cool references. We, of course, have, Grand Moff Tarkin, who's been necromancied back from the dead, and we have digitally de-aged Carrie Fisher as Princess Leia, and a little bit of a weird thing. I would say that of all of the stuff in this movie, of course, what stood out the most is the Vader hallway, which that scene is so fucking good. It's actually, fun fact, parodied in Amphibia, where the main character gets her own Vader hallway movie. Yeah, this is all about acquiring the plans for the Death Star so that they can find out that there's a weak point that we can blow up. And really, this is about plugging the plot hole about why there's just a fucking shaft that detonates the whole fucking Death Star. Why there's not a single bend in this entire exhaust port. Anyway, yeah, the movie's fine. I actually liked it better on a rewatch. Once again, we get to see the Imperial bureaucracy sort of fucking it over as Grand Moff Tarkin plays the politics game and fucks over the actual architects of the Death Star, and shows why tyranny and rule through fear just straight up don't function in an actual society, which I do think is a underlining theme of Disney canon, and one I'm actually coming to appreciate, this sort of like deconstruction of rule through fear. So I think that's appreciable. I don't really have too much else to say about Rogue One. A lot of people really liked this movie when it came out. Like I said, I wasn't a big fan, but I also don't dislike it now anymore. I thought it was fine in a rewatch. So that is Rogue One. We're done. Thank fucking God with that. We're on the last topic of the night. Y'all know it. Y'all love it. It's the show where we pick a 350-minute maximum anime, English dub, and we talk about what we thought about it. And it is, of course... Hey! It's Soul Eater Not! It's Soul Eater Not, the prequel series to Soul Eater, which I actually think takes place slightly during Soul Eater, because we also get to see Sid die in this. And we get to find, because he, like, famously at, like, the beginning of Soul Eater gets turned into a fucking zombie. So, this takes place slightly during Soul Eater. Okay. I will say this. There is a surprise in this. If you're an anime-only Soul Eater watcher, I really want to talk about the Kim reveal on this one. Because this anime casually reveals that Kim is a witch. And if you're an anime-only on... as Soul Eater, that's fucking news to you, because the arc that revealed that Kim was a witch, it happened like 1 or 2 arcs after where the anime ended for the Soul Eater anime. And this is like, well, we all know that Kim is a witch, of course. So I can only imagine at some point someone who only watched the Soul Eater anime and saw, because Soul Eater also as an anime ends with like an original ending. Yeah, fucking shocker. The city getting up and walking on 2 legs, and then Maka defeating Ashura with a friendship punch wasn't canon. But yeah, I can only imagine someone who is only like an anime only on Soul Eater, just coming into this and it's being like, well, yes, of course, Kim is a witch. And they've been like, the fuck? What do you mean Kim is a witch? Which I remember when I was reading the manga, I actually thought Kim being a witch was like a huge plot twist. And then this show is just like, well, Kim is a witch, of course. we all know that. We could just skip past that part. This had a very sort of almost like slicey life, sort of like semi-romantic vibes between the characters. I would call it Yuri bait. I don't think this is a full-on romance. The closest romance is between like Kim and her fucking lantern weapon. Is the closest we get to this. Like, there's like slight hints at romantic relationships between the girls, but I don't think it like goes there. So yeah, it felt very Yuri bait on me on this one. And what else will I say? I want to talk a bit about the ending where the main character grows wings. Now, I remember in the manga, Maka's ability to generate wings was part of her, like, Grigori's soul, which is like a 1 in a million something thing. So the ability to grow wings from your soul is not a normal thing, but the characters are like, you're gonna be a winged halberd, like that's like a real thing. Like, I remember it being a big deal that Maka could fly. So yeah, the main character growing, like, I looked at the wiki addressing this. I'm like, is the main character this a fucking Grigori or some shit? And there's no comment about how absolutely abnormal it is that the main character can fucking fly in this. But yeah, I wanted to point it out. I liked the The deal with like Liz and Patty, I love that they had like a little interactions with them. Yeah, I thought this was like a fun little slice of life. I thought the Gorgon sister, the Scorpion woman, the fact that I don't remember her name isn't great, and I think that's sort of the point. Is I think it was a little. I think the serious aspects of the show are weaker elements than the sort of like slice of life Yuri bait aspects of the show. But yeah, other than that, I think this gets too bad of a rap. Is what I'll say. I like that the main character's decision at the end was just like, I will pick both girls. I will have both girls as my partner, and you will do nothing about this. And everyone else is like, I guess we can't stop it. I guess she gets both girls. Okay, then. So I thought that was fun. I did like the main character's hair better before she put them up in the Twin Tails to copy Maka. I think the motivation of the character makes sense, but I did like it better before that happened. But yeah, other than that, I don't know if I have too much to say about Soul Eater or not. I think this show gets a worse rap than it deserves. I think it was actually solid. I enjoyed my time with it. It's not the best thing we've ever watched in Anime Dartboard, but I think it was better than it gets credit for. So anyway, what did everyone who watched this think about Soul Eater Not? Because of course you watched it. Fascinating. All right, I'm not going to lie to you. I forgot to set up Wheel of Names this time. So, hopefully this works. It does. It does work. All right. So, shuffle. 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 What do we got? Oh, okay. Okay. I know what this is. This is Concrete Revolutio Chojin Genso. Isn't this, this is a movie, isn't it? No, it's a TV show. It's a 13-episode TV show, also called Concrete Revolutio. On a sunny July day in the 41st year of the Shinka era, Jiro Hitoshi is tasked with covertly listening in on a secret meeting between the top secret government scientist and an industrial spy. However, his clever as bone, and the spy reveals himself to be an alien in disguise. Excuse me. Amidst the ensuing chaos, Jiro enlists the aid of a cafe waitress and magical girl Kiko Hoshino, one of the many superhumans who blend into society and secretly protect humanity from extraterrestrial threats. As a member of the government agency known as the Superpopulation Research Laboratory, Jiro has the dual task of protecting superhumans that defend humanity and disposing of any deemed too dangerous to live. After proving herself a worthy ally, Kiko is invited to join the agency as its newest recruit. Fast forward 5 years, disapproval and distaste for superhumans and now commonplace in Tokyo. From the government corruption and conflicting ideas of justice to the morality of superhuman rights, the relationship between humans and supernatural minority balances precariously in a world pervaded by whispers of unrest and unease. Under mysterious circumstances, Jiro has been betrayed by the agency and is now a fugitive on the run. As he skulks through the rainy back alleys of Shinjuku, he is pursued by the very same superhumans that he himself once recruited. This is by Mal Rewrite, so keep that in mind. This is 6.64. This came out in 2015. It's done by Studio Bones. Who directed this? There's a sequel of this. But your job isn't to watch the 11-episode sequel. Maybe I will, but your job's not to. The director is Seiji Mizushima, who directed the original Full Metal Alchemist 2003 show. Ooh. He directed Shaman King. Okay. He directed Gundam 00. He directed Beatless, which I've described as the most intelligently written sci-fi anime I've ever seen. Although, to be fair, I would actually put that on the hands of the author who wrote the original story and not him, but worth noting. He directed Ungo. He did some storyboards for Shikabane Hime Aka. He directed something called Rukin Suiho. Expelled from Paradise. Oh, I've seen shots of this. I'm surprised I haven't seen this. Oh, this is like a movie. What is this? In the future, a massive disaster has devastated Earth. Most of humanity has abandoned their physical bodies and relocated in digital form to Deva, an advanced space station orbiting a ravaged planet, free from the limitations of traditional existences such as death and hunger. The inhabitants of virtual reality reside in a relative peace, and along the frontier, settler, a skilled hacker, infiltrates the system and spreads subversive messages to the populace. Labeled a threat to security by the authorities, Frontier Settler is pursued by Angela Belzak, a dedicated member of Deva's law enforcement. When the hacker's signal is traced to Earth, Angela takes on physical form, transferring her consciousness to a clone body and traveling the world below in order to deal with the menace. On Earth, she is assisted by Dingo, a charismatic agent. During her journey to uncover the mystery behind Frontier Settler, she gradually discovers startling reality about the wasteland of some humanity still refers to as home, as well as the paradise above. I mostly recognize this character more than anything. Let's see, what else did he do? He directed Full Metal Alchemist Premium Collection, which I'm assuming is like some side stories. He directed D4DJ First Mix. This man's got a fucking pedigree. Beatless Final Stage. D4DJ, Chief Director of All Mix. All Mix was a little weaker. Some shit I haven't heard of. Assistant Director on Eiko Versus. Okay. No, I mean, Seiji Mizushima's got a fucking pedigree on him. Okay, yeah, so I don't know why I want to watch this. Anime Consortium ACG revealed the original production Concrete Revolutio Chojin Genso at Anime Expo 2015 in Los Angeles. The project has previously been teased by scriptwriter Sho Akiawa in the Tokusatsu Hyo magazine published in May 2015 under the tentative name title Chojin Genso. Aikawa indicated that the project would be a superhero story in setting similar to American comic book series Watchmen. I heard that this is like a metaphor for like Japan's involvement in Vietnam or some shit like that. So something about Japan interventionism or some bullshit is what I've heard. Like this is some sort of like allegory. But anyway, yeah. The Concrete Revolutio. Get it watched. There you go. That's your dart. And with that, we're coming to the end of the stream. So I guess the question we have at this point is, coming to the end of the stream, what do we have coming for content? Not a whole lot. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like I said, I really want to power my ass through favorite search through this year, but like I said, I'm sort of working on a move coming up, so really don't expect too much from me. But once I do that, and once I'm between jobs, I really want to like dig my heels in and get through it, but I'm not really promising anything. So don't expect anything between now and the next stream. If we do anything, it's going to be like a Sack and Mal episode or something like that. But yeah, no, nothing too big. Don't get your hopes up on that. But hoping to have more to show later in the end of the year. The next episode is going to be May 3rd, but I'll keep you posted. Because that's probably right around when the move is looking. So I'll keep you posted on that. We might have to delay for the second time ever. But anyway, until then, I think we're actually good. Hopefully everyone had a good time. Thanks for stopping by, Maid. Thanks for chilling for most of the stream. Hopefully everyone had a good one. I will see you next time, probably for, again, a Sacking Mal or I guess in May 3rd for the next stream. Keep watching for the anime channel. So far, I'm doing a pretty good job of keeping those videos weekly. I haven't missed it in like 2-3 years now, so that's pretty good on that. And until then, I've been Sacrabalic, your Envoy of Hope, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.